So why even start this semen retention journey and, lose our fun? This is we're a man. Like, how do we not, why would we want to overcome lust or fantasy or chasing girls, blah, blah, right? So this is my story. I'm going to try to make it short because people have been asking about it. They're curious how I got started on my journey. It wasn't just semen retention journey, it was journey to get out of pain, you see. This is what I wanted. And then I discovered along the line that when I stopped ejaculating and lusting and all this stuff that would just create restlessness, when I stopped that stuff, I noticed I felt more calm. And so then I can say semen retention was a huge part, a huge tool, and in overcoming this human egoic, self with all its bad habits and tendencies, etc. But for some reason, I instinctively knew that losing my semen wasn't auspicious for me, even as a teenager. Now that doesn't mean I was able to stop the habit from masturbating. And there's another reason why, we use that a lot as I want to get into that in a second, but it's a great escape mechanism, this whole, sexual instinct taken to absurd levels via lust and fantasy and masturbation and porn, etc. And so I had, if you have any situation where you're really, life feels really heavy, either in your family or your health or just whatever, then you're more prone, I think, to become more addicted to this whole sexual category of an array of things that the way it can express itself, So, but I still knew, and that was my issue, but I'm going to get into that in a second. I still knew that I didn't like how I felt when I would lose my semen. I could feel I would get more lower, more down, more dull. I would lose, my vitality would decrease. Now, if you would have asked me then, when I was a teenager, do you notice this? I don't know. I might have said no. But I can, when I reflect back, I can remember and feel those energetic kind of realizations that were trying to get into my consciousness that I just wouldn't allow. So I don't know why I realized that at a young age. Maybe previous lives I was brahmachari or I overcame this, and then when I got thrown into this life with all this karma, I resorted back to a habit or a pattern that I didn't totally transcend. So I remember when I was 17 maybe, something like that. I would have sex with my girlfriend and I didn't ejaculate. And I remember she'd ask why, and of course she'd take it personal and she'd think it's something wrong with her, no matter how much I tried to explain, although my explanation wasn't very good because I didn't know myself. I couldn't articulate this instinctive feeling that I had. All I knew is, I think I just told her because it feels good. It's like an opposite, right? So what do you mean it feels good? You didn't orgasm. Yeah, but it's a different kind of feeling good or something. That is how I would talk. I noticed when I did that, when I preserved my vital force, that afterwards I felt more vibrant. I enjoyed her more. You see, I didn't go to sleep or just want her to get out of the room or anything. I actually liked her more. I felt more affection for her. I didn't have to eat as much, and I didn't even really have to sleep much because I would be retaining my energy and I would be absorbing her energy, the female energy. So that's how I realized. That was the beginning of the realization that this is important. Now, disclaimer, I'm not saying that if you're married or you have a girlfriend that if you want to have sex and ejaculate, so be it. This is an individual thing. You have to discover in yourself what's okay and what's not. Some people, the consequences they feel are less than others, so you have to figure this out. I can tell you this though, if one's doing, watching porn lusting and all that stuff, that's going to definitely, you're not going to be in the highest version and vibration of yourself. And I think anybody watching this video who are interested in semen retention, you at least already have an inkling that this is true. So we don't need to cover that, right? It's common sense. The more finer levels, do you just want to stop ejaculating altogether? That's up to you. It's biggest thing is just get a foundation to where you break this habit of porn and masturbation and lusting and edging and all that. And then if you, this is actually why some people get married and have a girlfriend, and even there's some, you can say gurus or authentic spiritual teachers that recommend it, because some people, their sexual instinct is just too strong. And when they get married or find a good partner, they get grounded. And then there's less opportune for the mind to have them just all over the place and create all this restlessness, because these people, they want to do a sadhana in a spiritual practice, but it's like the sexual energy that gets into their mind, and the mind throws it out into the form of all this, just trying to get female attention and attraction and lusting and objectifying and fantasizing. They need some help, and they also want a partner anyway. So then they end up getting a partner, and they're more grounded, they're more solid, and they're devoted to their partner. And so then it's a way to channel their energy. So it's all different. There's no one general standard that I can suggest across the board. It depends who I'm talking to and what the person's individual strong karmic tendencies are. So that's that. You see, the other thing that I had that really gave some motivation to not only practice semen retention, but to just wake up from this dream of this human self, or at least transcend it, was that I had a really debilitating nervous system disorder, and also deep degeneration in my cervical spine. So that's kind of why I'm kind of an addict by nature. And in the past, I had to go to a rehab for, smoking too much weed, and because somebody could say, well, how are you going to go to rehab for smoking too much weed? That's another story, but I can basically say, because of this nervous system problem and health issues, I grew up taking psychotropic drugs and antidepressants and all this heavy drugs that are stronger than a lot of these street drugs. And I started taking them at 7 years old. My parents took me to a doctor, and that's what they do. And I wasn't old enough to say, no, man, this is insane. It took me until I was about 12 to say that. But then I got and started smoking weed. Well, I already had a history of doing too many drugs, even though they were prescribed. It doesn't matter. So by the time I found, my brain was frying from all these pharmaceutical chemistries. So by the time I started smoking weed, I didn't have much of a grace period left as far as doing synthetic or any kind of chemistry that was designed to really affect the nervous system. My nervous system was already down because I was doing too many drugs, and even though they were prescribed and I was innocent and it wasn't my fault, doesn't matter. Life is like that sometimes. So by the time I started smoking weed, and also weed never agreed with me. I was going to make a video too on smoking weed maybe. It just never, it's not my medicine, even though it's natural and it grows out here. Okay, but it never really agreed with me. So, but I was an addict. It took the edge off of this nervous system hell, because it was really imbalanced, and all the symptoms that came with it, and also the pain that I would feel in my spine. So I needed something. I felt I needed something, rather that be a pharmaceutical drug or weed or something. So then it was easier for me to become addicted to something because I was psychologically and emotionally and even physically dependent on it. So therefore, the point is, I'm just proving that there's some people that are kind of addicted by nature. And usually it has to do with we're trying to escape something, or we've been dealt some rough cards in life that make life feel more like a burden. than maybe other people, and so we're looking for something outside of ourselves to kind of just make shit easier. I understand. So I also discovered that masturbation and porn was a good way to escape this inner feeling of restlessness that I hated and wanted to escape. So, and then the dopamine hit that comes from that, when we do things that are so-called taboo or shocking, or see things like that, or getting hits from women, and when they, oh, wow, she likes me, that you get a hit of dopamine release. So that drug, dopamine, very strong drug, by the way, a lot of dopamine addicts out there in the world that don't know it because it's not talked about too much. It serves as a good escape from your own just presence. Because the presence, which is what we are, if we could feel that, we'd be okay. But the problem is that's covered up with all this, negative emotion and anxiety and restlessness and all that. So we want to escape that, and then we will find something, weed or drugs or alcohol or whatever. Now, disclaimer again, there's some people who they're artists and they say they enjoy smoking weed, or some smoke at night, it helps them relax. It's all good, man. Like, there's not, we can't say anything across the board's bad. If you feel it's helping you right now, then by all means enjoy. That's the main thing. To have a true sense of inner peace inside and enjoy. Not to have an artificial, though, this is the thing, not to have an artificial sense of euphoria, because that wears off, and then it creates the habit to do it again. So the habit to do it again keeps increasing, but the payoff keeps decreasing, and then you end up hitting some bottom at some point, because it's like we're strung out on something, it's not working anymore, we're not getting any benefit, but yet we're compelled to do it, you see. So that's what happened with this this whole lust and edging, and that's how semen retention was born, because it stopped working. And I wasn't getting any benefit, but yet the compulsion to do it was still there, and my nervous system was worse than when I started in the first place to do it, to escape. I couldn't escape the discomfort anymore. It just stayed. And then I was just making things worse by continuing to do this habit too. That's a bad situation to be in. That's the definition of hitting bottom, or that's one. So anyway, when I was in my early 20s, I ended up finding some books from India, that some swamis wrote, and I could feel the vibration of the words. They were authentic, and they were talking about the benefits of preserving your sexual energy or your life force, brahmachari, whatever. And I was reading them, and because I already had an instinctive, intuitive understanding of this, when I read these books, it was like, yes, somebody's explaining this to me, because in America at that age and at that time, I didn't have anybody. There weren't these videos out, by the way. You couldn't, I don't even know if YouTube was out, but that sounds funny, don't it? Like, because at heart, I feel like I'm the same age, I'm ageless, but yet when I start referencing things, it's like, whoa, you did get older, your physical body. Anyway, so I found these books and I read them, and I was like, damn, this is important. It confirmed what I've already instinctively knew. So I started reading them, and it increased the urge and the conviction to do this, you see. And then I went to India because I was being tortured by this health situation. My whole life was spent trying to overcome this health situation. This is what my whole life. I didn't have any time or desire to have a family or to go to school and learn a trade or all that. I wanted to just know how to be at peace in my body. That's all I wanted to know. That's it. That was my main goal. And so when I exhausted all the options in America, I started looking around the world for options and solutions. So I made it to India because I was going to Self-Realization Fellowship before that with Paramahansa Yogananda started it. And I spent some time in his ashram in Escondido, which I really liked, but I was a resident there and I couldn't continue after a few months because my health situation. So, and I also realized I didn't want to be a monk. You know, that wasn't my destiny. And my whole fantasy of what it was like to be at the ashrams and live with the monks and all that, it wasn't, it wasn't reality. When I got there, I saw they all had the same problems and issues, actually. You know, some of them were very repressed. They really needed to get out of there and go get drunk or go to a brothel. Because a lot of times, you know, this is another danger of the spiritual path. When we have really strong desires, certain karma that needs to be experienced, and then we just lock ourselves in some kind of protective environment, ashram, whatever, and these energies don't have a chance to express, and we don't know what it's like to be with a girl or to have a girlfriend or to have sex, and because mentally we say, no, we shouldn't do all that, and then you lock yourself up somewhere, that can be a bad situation. That can be worse than actually being an addict even. I don't know, depends. But I'm just saying, this repression of, you know, certain desires or experiences that the consciousness wants to have that we haven't had, when we try to deny that, it can look messy and weird, and they can be a lot of displaced anger and emotions and resentment that they won't admit, but it comes out of their face in vibration. So I saw that when I was at the ashram. I said, yeah, this isn't for me. Not all of them, but I'm saying, like, it's not some kind of, I used to think, oh, I'm going to go to the ashram and everybody's just going to be a saint or be awake, and then I'm going to feed off that energy, and then I'm going to wake up, and then no more health problems. So this was kind of a subconscious motivation for me to go that I wasn't totally aware of or could articulate at the time, but that fantasy got crashed nonetheless. So I started looking all over the world for answers. And I went to Brazil, and I went to John of God, the healer there, and stayed there for 6 months. It didn't work. And then I went to India, and I found an authentic, true, non-commercial teacher where we had a personal relationship. It wasn't about money. We connected, and he was the real deal. And he had mastered this semen retention for, you know, years, and he was a true tantric master. See, these people, they don't tell anybody. They don't make videos and say, I'm a tantric master, you know, give me $100, I'm going to show you how to be one. It's just not like that. But I was, by grace, I did find him, and that was a joke too. Like, I went to India looking for something like that. I was a little more extreme in my fantasy. I wanted to find some guru, and he touched my head, and, you know, I'm awakened. So it didn't work like that. But when I went to India, I was just like, I'm leaving. Like, this is the worst, you know, like, how did I end up here? You know, it was hot and muggy, and there was cow shit all over the road, and there were cows and monkeys and buses and people, and everybody staring at me, you know, and it was just super. And I'm in pain, hurting, looking for somebody that's going to touch my head, and I'm like, holy shit, like, what did I get into, you know? So a few days, I only handled that for maybe 2 or 3 days, and then I called my agent, my travel agent at the time. At that time, we were using travel agents to buy tickets. Another example of how life changed. Now we use the internet. And she said, it was like a Saturday. She's like, we got to wait till Monday before we can change a ticket. And I'm like, oh God. And then I went to this internet cafe, because it was just hot, and there was AC in there, and I got some water. And then the guy that worked there asked me, like, what are you doing? And I said, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and I told him a little bit of what I was looking for. And he says, oh, interesting, because I know somebody, actually. And he won't just work with anybody. He has to meet you first, do your astrology chart, and see if there's some matching. And I was just like, yeah, like, this, okay. And I got some life back into me. So this is how we met. And we kicked it off and hit it off, and it was pretty good. And he was my teacher for years, and learned all about Ayurveda. Took every Ayurvedic treatment I could have. I also found a really authentic Ayurvedic doctor, and just trying to get better, trying to heal myself, you know. And so this teacher would really break it down about semen retention and the value of it, and especially how important it is for somebody who has any nervous system weakness. Because it's like your semen, really it's the ojas, the subtle essence of the semen, that is like medicine for the whole body, particularly the nerves. And when he would speak, I would hear it. It would go inside and resonate with you can say, my dormant knowledge, in which I already knew this stuff, but I needed somebody to wake this up. And that's what he did. And so I was very adamant about not losing my semen. But I was still a slave to lust and edging. You see, I couldn't stop doing that. And especially the better that I felt as I started to get a little healthier, my tendency to try to get attention from girls increased, because I didn't get a lot of attention living in America. Celibacy was pretty easy for me living in America. I just wasn't attracted to these women, and they felt cold and I just, like masculine and all that. Again, I'm not saying all, but I was living in LA and it was really pretentious, and I just needed something different, And then when I went to Brazil, I found something different, all right. And actually, any developing country I went to was just like, whoa, it's 100 times better than living in America. And so I was getting all this female play and attention that I never got before, and that was like satisfying this, you can say, deficit of female energy I had growing up. So, could I have not done that and just transcended that? No, I needed to experience that. So this is why I can't be a hypocrite. Like when I'm working with people and I can sense that in them, what are you going to do? Like I had to do it, so do what you got to do. But at the same time, try to stay conscious and taste and feel and ask your question, self-inquiry, is what I'm doing right now really something that's auspicious for me? Is this really contributing to my awakening? Which is the main goal in human life, to wake up and realize who we are beyond this ego. To realize we're consciousness, basically. So this went on for a while, especially when I went to Thailand and Bali and China, anywhere. I was just always just edging, looking for attention from girls, getting the dopamine hit, etc. Dopamine's a super strong drug. I didn't know it. I didn't know it was dopamine. Like I didn't know that I was doing all this edging and lusting to get euphoric hits, aka dopamine. I just kind of didn't know. I just knew I liked it. It felt good. That's all I can say. So at some point, like I mentioned before, dopamine's a drug. So if you're doing it all the time, which is what I was doing, that drug will finally crash your body. Any drug will. Doesn't matter if it's natural, synthetic, whatever. I mean, I've made videos before. I'm a proponent of natural plant medicine, psychedelics, but even those, if you do too much, you're going to crash your system. I had to go through that too with that. I'm an addict. So, but it's good. You see, I burnt out all these tendencies. And when you burn out all these addict tendencies or habits, etc., it's much easier to surrender. Surrender to something. See, we don't know what it is. Some say God or whatever. But something is tired of living like a slave to habits, okay? And to negative tendencies that you know aren't good for you and that are sucking your energy, but yet we keep doing them. So the more pain and suffering, it seems like the more easy it is to surrender. And that's what happened. I burnt out. I was done. It's done. I didn't care if another girl ever gave me any kind of attention again. So you got to get to that place. You got to get to where you're just done. I didn't care if I ever had sex again. I didn't care if a girl ever looked at me again. I didn't care nothing. I wanted to be free. You see, this is real surrender. When every fiber in your being is just you want to give yourself up, your human self. You're just sick of yourself. See, if somebody's really never got to that point where you're sick of this human construct self, then you're not going to be able to surrender. Therefore, you're going to be like this in life. You're going to have really high ups. Well, I'm getting a lot of views if you're a YouTuber, you know, and I'm getting a lot of subscribers. Well, I'm getting a lot of consults. Oh, something's happened now. I'm getting less now. And you go down and you try some new, you know, marketing tactic. Well, I'm getting them again, and then you go back down. You can apply that to any situation in life. I got a new girlfriend. Yeah, I'm full on now, you know. See my friends, I'm beaming. And then next week, it's like all the life force left. They say, well, what happened? I don't know, she cheated on me, or, you know, whatever. This is the human drama of human duality. So there's certain things in life, certain bottoms we hit. The harder your life is, the better on some level, because it brings us to this bottom where we're ready to discover who we really are beyond this human form. Because we've tasted it, you know, it's like we chose to come here and play this human game for a while. We want to experience it. It's like go to a very sophisticated virtual reality game, some place that had, you know, you got to spend $10,000, but when you plug all this stuff in and you're into this game, you're like, whoa, this is so captivating, you know, and you want to keep playing it. At some point, though, it'll get boring. Same thing with this human game, this human drama, all the goals and desires and ambitions, and you know, want to taste this experience and that experience. That gets boring at some point. When that really happens for somebody, you're in a very auspicious place, because now you have a chance to discover who you are beyond this human body, beyond this human game. That doesn't get boring, you see. That inner stability and freshness and serenity, it doesn't get boring. It can't get boring. In fact, it just keeps getting better. I'm talking about forever gets better. It never wears out. So when one tastes that, and then you compare that to this human realm, and especially if you're already done for the most part, not that you can't still enjoy the human realm, but you're not, the whole passion about it and excitement is decreased. And you've tasted this higher dimension in yourself. It's a no-brainer, you know, because you've had the contrast, and it's just impossible to continue. Like, you want to get out of the virtual reality game, you know. You just want to unplug it now. Say, okay, I appreciate the experience. I had fun for a little while, but now I'm done. So let me know. Why did you start your journey? I think I gave a pretty good idea why I started mine and examples. But tell me why you started yours. I honestly want to know, what's the main thing that made you start your journey, and what keeps you on the journey, and what makes it difficult to stay on the journey. I'm going to make a video next about the difficulties of why is semen retention so hard, you know, because it is. For a lot of people, and it doesn't count if you're already 80 or 90 years old and your equipment don't work anymore. It doesn't count, you know. You didn't transcend it. You got to transcend it when this energy's, you know, on you, when it's active. You got to transcend it then, and then you don't have to come back and repeat this shit again in another life. It's important to transcend this. It's a great freedom when we can walk down the street or be in a group of individuals, and we're not, and girls involved, and we're not, you know, this energy isn't playing inside of us. This is in making us, you know, have thoughts or controlling our body, our eye. We can't help but look. You know, it's great to be free of that. You know, people should taste that in their life, and the power that comes from that, and then the respect that you get from others as a result of that. And you're not even looking for the respect. Respect's already here. You've already found the true self-respect. They're just reflecting to you your inner respect you already have, you know. All right, good. So this is definitely the longest video I ever made, and curious to see, did you watch the whole thing or not? Let me know your reason for doing semen retention. Okay, have a good day.